closer I get, the more anxious I'm getting. It looks a bit like a mental institution.
If people were driving past, they'd be like, what the f*** is going on here?
Bye. Here are some of the reactions from people when I've told them. What the f*** are you doing that for? What if you lose your mind? Do you think you'll come back different? Sounds exciting. I want to do one. Is there a bar? In January, I wrote an article for BBC about a girl who became addicted to silent retreats. And I spoke to her like 3 quite lengthy phone calls. It's just fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Changed like every part of her life. Changed her job, changed relationships. Not as in like got a new partner or whatever, but just sort of made them better. Reduced stress, reduced anxiety. She said she just cared less about everything. Cared less about money, about like status and ego. So I was like, wow, I want to do it. So I'm going on to the 3-night thing. It's a place called Gaia House. I'm actually terrified. The no talking bit will be fine, I don't mind that. It's the no distractions thing. No phones, no reading, no writing. It's all Buddhist, and I was reading up on their website before I left, and there were like 5 rules of you have to abide by, essentially. And it's basically, don't say horrible things. Can't say anything, so that's not a worry. Don't steal stuff. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I'm sharing a room with 5 strangers. Me. What else was on the list? Don't kill anything. I mean, they're all like fairly decent rules to live your life by, I think. It's all vegetarian food. So it's going to be an experience. I actually messaged Gemma last night. I've stayed in touch with her, saying I'm coming on a 3-night retreat. Any advice? She was like, wow, well done. It'll be the hardest thing you've ever done. So I've got like 3 hours left. Also, like, what do you wear to a silent retreat? I've stocked up on some sort of like culty leisure wear. It's just all grey. You got to take toiletries that are unscented. I mean, I've got a roll-on. I bought a roll-on rather than a spray. Hopefully that'll do. Oh, so it starts tonight at 7, ends at 4 PM on Monday. And it's going to be intense. 30 minutes away. The closer I get, the more anxious I'm getting. I think I just don't know what to expect. And I'm just going to go mad. All thoughts racing through my mind. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? But the whole point of this is to sort of clear your mind. So, should help. Hopefully. I'm here. And I don't know if you can see. Looks, if that's it, there's a big building here. Oh, that's a church. It looks a bit like a mental institution. There's a lot of cars here. Welcome, please park. Okay to block others in. What the f*** is this place? Oh, nice Range Rover. Oh, I'm going to block you in. And so it begins. Park close to the hedge and close to your neighbour. Been in, registered, been shown to my room. I'm with 3 guys, met 2 of them, all quite young. Had to make your own bed. What time is it? It's like 10 to 6. At 6 o'clock we get soup. 6:45 we get a tour. 7:30 the bosses speak, and that's when the silence begins. One initial regret is that I didn't get new slippers. You're not allowed to wear normal trainers inside at all, and everyone's got like normal slippers, and I've got these big fluffy checked Uggs things. Quite a few hippies, quite a few old people, a lot of young people actually, probably like 50 odd people in there. Bye. Phones are officially off and silence begins at 7:30, so I've just snuck out to my car. Turn my phone off, gonna leave it in here. Just had a bit of a tour of the place. Lots of meditation. But yeah, it begins. One guy, right, actually, before I go, said his therapist had sort of challenged him to come here, which I thought was a bit bizarre. And then he said his therapist went on a 3-day silent retreat and had to leave after 2. Oh dear, you couldn't hack it. Anyway, right, bye. Report back on Monday. Oh, I was in the middle of doing something. Oh, I'm relaxed. So I've left sort of half an hour ago. Amazing. Highly recommend it to anyone. Just like slows down the pace of life. Lots of introspection. You get sort of 3 hours to yourself each day. That's included in that time. You've got to have lunch and breakfast, shower. So it's pretty much all scheduled meditation. Loads of meditation. It's good though, real good. There are lots of techniques. And there's people all there like for all different reasons. Busy lives, or they're like dealing with stuff. I'll get more into the mechanics and how it all works at a later date. I just spoke to Bino and she was like, you sound incredibly relaxed. Yeah, I am, yeah. I was just thinking, I'm not even sure if it's that safe to be driving in such a relaxed state. I'll just keep doing 60 miles an hour on this motorway. I haven't put the radio on yet. I'm quite happy just in silence. I'll report back later. Assuming you can see me. So it's the weekend after the silent retreat. Had most of the week back in work. It was incredible. I've got some videos of me on the way there. Anxiety increasing the closer I got. Literally, as I was walking, I was terrified. And I think I was terrified of being in my own head for 3 days. I get quite anxious. I was like, what if I actually have a breakdown? That was Niece's concern as well. She also said, what if you come back and mute? So that hasn't happened. So I'll quickly whiz through what it was like, because it was mad. First night, had soup, met everyone, registered, walked around. It's like kind of like an old manor house. It used to be a convent, so it used to be full of nuns. It's got like a weird stillness about the place. When I arrived, there are obviously people who had been there for a while already, like lived there for a bit, because they have live-in coordinators. I was like, why is everyone walking so slowly? Like creepily slow, like. And by the end, I was doing the same. In work the other day, my boss was like, why are you walking so like solemnly slow? I was like, oh, this is just my my new regular pace. It slows you down so much. So that first night then, about 7:30, the silence started. Went into the meditation hall. Long, big room. I got a photo, I'll whack in. And then we had a talk by the 2 people in charge, who are known as the teachers. Kind of hippie, spiritual vibes, as you'd probably expect. Speaking really slowly and thoughtfully. Nathan, the teacher, as a point of reference, he looks a bit like Ace Ventura. There we go. And Laura had like a shaved head and had been a nun for about 30 years.
Went to bed like 9 the first night. So we did that talk, did like half-hour meditation. You get woken up by someone ringing a gong outside your room at 6:15. That gives you half hour to get ready to be in the meditation hall at 6:45. That's the first session. So it's quite structured, the days. 6:45 until 7:30, meditate. In the mornings, some of the things they do to like get your blood flowing or whatever, wake you up, get your energy levels. He's like, right, the guy in charge was like, right, it's time to gather some chi. And he was like, something like this, put your hands to the side and go, and just went like that. So you're like making it heat in your hand. Like, I don't know if it's obviously a thing, but it's not a thing I've heard of. It's to do with like chakras probably, and Reiki, and I don't know, chi. Do that. And then he's like, use the energy you've built up in your hands, now rub your kidneys. I was like, what? So then everyone's doing this. Oh. And he's like, rub your kneecaps. I was like, oh yeah. It was just mental. I kept thinking of my mates, like, if they could see me now. There was another bit where you had to go like this, go tap, like just tap over your head, just like wake up different parts of the brain or something. There's probably something in it. I'm not saying it's rubbish, but I'm just like, it was a bit strange. And then you go on your sternum bit here. And then some people were fucking going for it. They were going like, and that noise with 50 people in like a confined hall, it was like a sort of weird rumble. It was batshit crazy, but I loved it. 7:30 to 8:15, breakfast. Then you do an hour of work. So you sort of say when you register what you'd like to do, and there was all different things like washing up after dinner, washing up after lunch, food prep. There's one about laundry, and one of my strange sort of goals in life is to own a laundrette. Don't know why. Went in one once and loved it. So I was on laundry duty. So I turned up to the first day for laundry duty, and they were like, your name's not on the list. And you could talk at this point. I was like, am I allowed to talk? They're like, yeah. I was like, I'm not on the list, but I'm supposed to be in this one. And they were like, oh, there must have been a mistake. Do you want to do gardening? I was like, do I? That's what I wanted initially, but I didn't see it as an option. So I was out doing some gardening every day at 8:15, just in silence, loving it. Just like surrounded by trees and nature, little blackbirds sort of just hopping around me. I was like, oh. It was like the Garden of Eden. That's what I imagine it to be like. Then you're in the meditation hall 9:30 till 12:30. It's a sesh. They just kind of break it down into half-hour chunks. They give you a bit of a talk about like techniques or things we're going to focus on today. Then you do a half-hour meditation in the hall. Sometimes it's guided, and they just like speak gently, and like if your mind has wandered, bring it back to the breath. And if they're like, if similar thoughts keep coming up, rather than just ignoring them, like investigate them. So there's something called RAIN, which is an acronym. R is realization, for the realization that you've had the thought. It's in your head. A is allow, which means don't just like, he was like, don't you have a conversation through the door type thing. Let it into the room, let it take over your entire body. So that thought is you. I, investigate. Why is this thought here? Like if it's a negative thought, try and see it from, if it's about a specific person, try and see it from their point of view. Why, if it's a situation, why might this have happened? Or if it's a nice thought, why do I want to own a laundrette? I think it's because of that time I went in one and I loved it. And it's sort of like retro, and you can make it cool, and you could do like events and gigs and that. It'd be the best laundrette you've ever been to. And then N is not identify. So that thought is like not you. It's just a thought that your brain has. So it's not like connected to you. Thoughts come and go. You're sort of above on the hill, watching all the clouds, which the thoughts just drift past below you. I loved it. 12:30, you have a delicious, massive lunch. You get 2 hours for lunch though, so I use that to like go for a run or go for a walk around. And it's in Devon, the most beautiful countryside you've ever seen. It's so serene. It reminded me of Wales because there were daffodils everywhere, there were sheep everywhere. Then after lunch, back in the meditation hall for another 3-hour session. Oh, I forgot something. So you do it in the hall, sit in meditation, delightful. And people were literally breathing that loud as well. There's a woman in front of me going every like 5 minutes. But you do that for half an hour and then they say, oh, it's a nice day, let's go do some walking meditation. It's like, what? What's that? So you go out on the grounds, just walk back and forth about 15 paces. I'd never heard of this before. You have your eyes open and you focus on your foot sort of touching the floor. And he was saying to, as you're walking, like focus on your body and your feet, just the sensation. And then when you get to the end, you can broaden your mind a bit and like look at the view and think of the bigger picture or whatever. So people are in the grounds in silence, about 50 of them walking back and forth really slowly. The first day I did it, I was in the back garden. It was all like woodlands. I was on my own pretty much. The second day, I went on the main front garden, and it was like a mental hospital. If people were driving past, they'd be like, "What the fuck is going on here?" It looked mad. And then you go back in. Yeah, so the afternoon is 2:30 till 5:30. Dinner's like a light soup, some bread, and then you go back in the meditation hall, which is like 7 till 9:30. So it's full on. There's like barely any time to yourself. Oh, I had some questions, didn't I? Yeah, I haven't mentioned eating in silence. That was interesting. You're sat directly opposite someone and you're just there in silence just eating. But it's nice. There's just like, I don't know, calmness to it. Until I sat next to a lady. Because obviously if you're not talking, you can hear people eat. Oh, which is one of my bugbears. And there was this old lady, I was sat very close, and we were having soup. And it was like, I was like, oh, Jesus. So I tried to use all my newfound calming meditation skills. I was like, I haven't spoke to her. Maybe she hasn't got any teeth. Maybe that's why she's making a noise. Or, like, maybe she was quite old. Maybe she's lived on her own for 30 years and is deaf, which is quite probably, could be an option, couldn't it? Could be a possibility. So that was another thing that I sort of learned. Laura, one of the teachers, loads of time, you get chances to do question and answers, and people were asking questions and she was just had her eyes closed and like deep breaths. And someone asked that question, like, why are you always got your eyes closed? And her response was, so that I can respond and not react, which is something I took away from it. Because I'm quite impatient. And like, if someone asks something, I don't know, I get a bit paranoid if there's like an awkward silence or something. But now I'm just like, yeah, let's give it a bit of thought. What's the rush? So yeah, that nice old lady. Maybe she didn't have any teeth. Oh, I had some mad moments in my head. Like, at one point, it was like I was watching sort of TV in my mind. But you know when people say when they're close to death that they get like flashbacks? I suddenly had this mad like flashing through my brain of different moments of like when I was younger. Not that young, but like family members and stuff, and just like, I was like, what happened then? It wasn't horrible, it was nice, it was just like profound. Reese Parkinson, what a boss. What did you learn from it about yourself? That I can live in my own head for 3 days, not go completely mental, or maybe open a laundrette. I'd recommend it. If you're stressed, anxious, or everything's a bit busy and noisy and hectic, there are lots of people from London, unsurprisingly. But this week in work I've been fairly relaxed. I had quite a stressful day yesterday. But, you know, kept my cool. What's the worst that can happen? Will it matter in 5 years' time? It's only TV, it's only radio. It's not the end of the world if something goes wrong, is it?